Foal in a Can Factory, written and illustrated by Carpdime. Foal in a Can Production Guide. Breeding pods. An optimal setup has around 4 breeding mares per pod. Too many, and it can be difficult to remove and replace expired breeders. Choose breeders for the colors and physical attributes. Discard breeders that do not birth quality products within 2 birth cycles. Prepare breeder with standard procedure amputation. Place in pod and attach fecal tube to prevent spoilage of products during birthing. Restraints are not normally required, but can be used for new, unbroken breeders. Periodically check feeding tray and refill with NutriFeed 660A as required. Take care to position the breeder so that products slide easily onto the collection funnel. After birthing is complete, clean the collection funnel to remove any foal smells. This reduces stress for breeders and maintains higher production rates and quality. Breeders in the same pod are synchronized to produce at around the same time. Products are collected in the glass jar latched onto the bottom of the pod below the collection funnel. When production is complete, remove jar for processing and attach a new jar for the next cycle. Complete the production report and discard any non-productive breeders. Breeding Sector 5, Pod 27, Breeder Number 1. The yellow mare groaned and squirmed as she could feel her babies come out. She tried to turn around to see them for one last time before they disappeared forever. But her leg stumps, where she was amputated, gave her no leverage. She dipped her head in resignation. It was not the first time. Heck, it wasn't even the 10th time. But each time it happened, it tore her apart. Each time a foal came out, she could hear a small splat as it hit the collection funnel, followed by a frantic chirping sound that descended into nothing as the foal dropped into the jar below. The last foal that came out bore a light green coat of fluff that resembled the flesh of an avocado. Its weak chirping was all that the mare ever experienced from its babies. When the other breeding mares in the same pod were done with their birthing, one of the summer interns detached the pod and poured the foals into a trolley. Before he left, he reattached the jar and cleaned the collection funnel with an industrial cleaner. As the intern moved on to the next pod, sometimes the lucky mares get to see for the last time the fruits of their labor all mixed together in the trolley. However, the yellow mare was not so lucky. Her position on the breeding pod meant she never saw anything but the anguish on the faces of the other mares in the other pods. Foal in a Can Production Guide. Sorting. Check products for general health and defects. Products should be lively and able to sustain the stress of transportation and canning. Be thorough with your checks and make sure to spot any undesirable attributes in products. A birthmark of a bad color and shape, such as this, is an automatic discard. Be effective with your check. Keep discard routine. With training, you should be able to get through 20 a minute. When he was done collecting the fresh foals, the intern wheeled the trolley to the sorting room and deposits the foals onto the sorting table. Seasoned sorters sat around the table and mechanically checked each foal for stillbirths, defects, or bad colors. The sorters are brutally effective, taught to err on the side of caution. Because of this, slow-reacting foals are treated as stillbirths and are discarded. The discard bin became fuller and fuller as the workday wore on. Live and dead foals were all thrown in together. Urine and feces soiled the bottom of the bin. Unlucky foals at the bottom drowned in the foul sludge that was formed. It was simply too ineffective for the sorters to kill the foal before discarding. A trial was done where sorters were told to cull the foals by crushing the skull before discarding. It was found that this increased the processing time by 2 seconds. almost double the time it took to sort a foal. The little green foal was grabbed from the pile of chirping, defecating foals awaiting sorting. He reacted to the squeezing and had a good, even coat of green fluff, so he was thrown into the tray of foals that passed, ready for processing. Foal on a Can production guide. Product preparation. Grasp the product by the neck and squeeze softly. It will open its mouth by instinct. Put a small drop of formula that is used in the can to help it adjust to the nutritious but tasteless formula. Resting its back on your palm, press firmly on the upper abdomen and push towards its rear. This will clear its bowels of any waste that is accumulated during gestation. After clearing its bowels, take the waste plug dispenser and reset it to the penetration position. Aim the penetrating arm at the rectal cavity and prod gently until the depth gauge ring is against the product. Once inserted to the right depth, push the dispense button and the penetrating arm will force open the cavity to allow the waste plug to be inserted. A click will indicate that the action is complete. Now remove the dispenser from the product. When the tray is full, it is slid to the next workstation where the foals are prepared for canning. At each processing stage, the foal could still be discarded for various reasons. If the waste plug could not be inserted properly due to a clenched anal passage, it was more cost-effective to throw away the foal instead of retrying. If the foal struggled during the polishing spray and an uneven coat was applied as a result, it was discarded. If the foal spat out the sample formula that is fed from a dropper, it was better to discard, since it was unlikely to feed from the milk reserve inside the can, which was a high risk factor for death during display in the vending machine. Luckily for our little green foal, he got through processing without issue and was thrown into a large barrel. By this stage, little foal was highly stressed and confused. None of the procedures it was put through was consistent with the natural needs and experience of a newborn fluffy. Before it could process everything that had happened, a vacuum tube descended onto the foals. One by one, they were sucked into a network of clear piping that fed into the canning machine. The tube fed each foal into a waiting can. As the conveyor belt of newly filled cans marched down the line, a can lid was pressed onto the open end. Our little green foal peeped and chirped for comfort. It never knew its mother. Its distraught and traumatized mother never sang it any mama songs. In the can next to it, the unfortunate foal was placed awkwardly onto the rim of the can by the vacuum tube. When the lid came down, bisected the little foal. Its dying scream haunted the dreams of the little green foal for the next few days as it spent sitting inside a vending machine outside a seedy convenience store.